Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another video. So in this video I'm going to be talking about new fish for the 1000 gallon Moray aquarium. So this is another basically Tankmate video, but I decided to do this one because if you've watched my previous videos, you know that I've rebuilt the filtration system of this 1000 gallon aquarium, and it took about a month. It was a lot of work. Everything had to come out of the tank. Everything then had to be placed back in, and so much work. So I kind of wanted to reward myself by putting something in that is a little bit more colorful than my monofish. And I think in this video you're going to see a lot of beautiful fish, and I hope it's going to look great. Alright, so like I just said in the intro, it is time to add some new fish. So the fish that I have in here right now are this swarm of monofish. So I have 29 of those, and we have 2 clownfish here. The rest live with the banana morays in the 270 gallon tank. I have some cleaner wrasses, mostly for the moray eels, and I have 1 emperor angelfish back here. And anything else that was in here before in terms of fish is also living with the banana eels, so the damsels, the mollies, and the other clownfish that are smaller. This is like a mated pair, so they are a lot more aggressive. That's why they're in here. But yeah, so in my last video, I finished setting up or redoing the filtration system, including this bead filter. So obviously, since this has only been running for like a week, the beneficial bacteria hasn't established itself yet. So this tank is mainly being filtered biologically through these live rocks. So the sand is obviously gone, and I do have some filter media in the sumps behind this tank. So lots of Sechem dinitrate, Sechem matrix, things like that. But yeah, so usually what I would like to do in a situation like this, I would like to add 1 or 2 fish at a time. Wait 2 weeks for the filtration to pick up, basically adjust to the newer or higher amount of fish waste. But unfortunately, the fish that I'm considering here have to be added together at once to avoid aggression. So I'm talking about more angelfish, and I'm talking about tanks. So yeah, with those, and also butterfly fish. I'm talking about some Heniocus butterfly fish, because I think they look really pretty, and they kind of look like the clownfish, but even nicer, but black and white. So I hope they'll be able to replace that coloration that I'm now missing, since all the clownfish are living with the banana eels. But yeah, the tanks, they are very aggressive, to each other, and the angels as well. So the only way I can get this to work is if I buy them all at once and put them all in the tank at once in the smallest size possible, so that they can all grow up together and find their own territories, while this is happening. So yeah, I already bought some fish today, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, and I also will be picking up some fish on Monday, and also have some fish delivered next week. And then I may be missing only 2 or 3 fish, and then this aquarium should be stocked to basically stocked with the fish that I want to keep long term, because they all are going to grow really big. The fish that I've chosen, most of them are going to grow to 1 foot. So they're going to be big fish, once they're fully grown, and that will look really awesome. So yeah, let me show you the fish that I have purchased today. Alright, so more fish have arrived, and this time we have angelfish. And so I'm going to start with this tiny one here. This one is a small blue face angel. So I'm going to put him in now. Very small, but seems to be doing fine. So the next one are medium size, but they are substantially larger. So it's kind of weird. But so this is either a French angel or a black angel. I believe this one is a French angel. So I'm going to put him now. He had a rough trip, so he was laying, you know, flat in the bucket, but hopefully he will recover soon. I acclimated them for like 2 hours, so that should hopefully help. All right, next one up is going to be then the black angel. So, or this is a French angel, I'm not sure. So I got one of each, and it's hard to tell them apart, but here we go. Nice size. And the last one is a queen angel, and he's also having a rough time. Acclimated for 2 hours, keeps laying flat, but I'm going to be putting him now, and hopefully he will do fine. So let's see, beautiful fish. Alright guys, another update and more fish. And this time I think we have the most exciting update, even though we only have 5 fish. But there's something special about these, and you will shortly see why. So I'm going to be acclimating them now, and then I will show you what I got. Alright guys, so the acclimation period for the new fish is over, and before I put them into the tank, I just want to actually tell you what kind of fish they are and why I bought them. And pardon the cloudy water, this tank is still going through the algae bloom that is common when you, actually bacteria bloom, which is common when you set up a new tank. Even though I had a bunch of live rock, you know, I removed all the sand, the bead filter has yet to be fully established, so this is kind of expected. So let's talk about the fish. So you saw in previous clips that I already put a couple of fish in this tank, and unfortunately I had a couple of deaths. So the first fish that died was the bigger of the 3 blonde naso tanks. He died 3 days after putting him into this tank. The majestic angelfish that you saw, he had a really rough trip, you know, just from the fish store to my home. And I never saw him ever again after I put him in, so he likely died. And the Flamingi tang, the small Flamingi tang, he did not look too good either, and he died a couple days later. And one of the 7 Heniocus butterfly fish, he had a wound on top of his fin, where his body and meets this top banner, and I did not see that until I had him in my tank. So that got infected and he died. So yeah, that was really heartbreaking. And the orange shoulder tang had a little bit of a fungal infection, but that's now gone. And the orange shoulder tang, the white cheek tang, or gold rim tang also they're called, he had a wound on top of his fin, and I had to put him through quarantine. So obviously when the first 2 fish died, I immediately thought, you know, something was wrong with my tank. I checked all my water parameters, temperature, you know, ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, everything, salinity, and everything was fine. So one thing that all these fish had in common was they all came from the same store. So that's obviously, you know, a big telltale sign for me, because all the other fish are doing really well. So yeah, I bought saltwater fish from that store before. The emperor angel I have in here came from that store. But I also bought, you know, a diamond goby back then and the butterfly fish. And the diamond goby and the butterfly fish died the next day. So I went back to the store the following week, wanted to talk to somebody, but then I saw that the tank that the fish came from had other dead fish in there. So there was something wrong on that day. And because the freshwater fish that I bought from them before were all fine, I thought, you know, this was just a one-time accident, so that's why I gave them another shot. But unfortunately, this is a store that I will not purchase from again. And I actually went through the dispute process to get my money back through my credit card company, so I'm kind of good there now. So, but hard lesson learned. But yeah, so the fish that I purchased today are the same type, but they are a lot different than what I had before, and I'm going to show you now why that is. All right, now let's get to it. So I'm going to be showing you each fish at a time, and we'll be putting him in one at a time. So let's start with this bucket here. So what you see here is a huge Flamingi tang. So great specimen. So yeah, so I decided to buy a big one because I was told that the small tangs are very sensitive, and that's also likely the reason why my small one died, because he was already sick, of course, but with these big ones, you have a much better chance for them to make it through, the transition into your tank. And as you remember, I paid $75 for these tiny Flamingi tang, and this one was $189, so it's not too bad. So I'm gladly spending more money to have a much healthier fish and a much better chance of success. So what I'm going to be doing with all these fish actually is, because they have a lot of spikes and fragile fins, I usually like to grab them, as you saw in previous the acclimations. And but these are so big and strong and healthy that they may jump out of my hand. So what I learned from Jack Watley Discus recently is he actually just empties out the water and makes sure that the fish obviously doesn't fall out, and just drops the fish into the tank that way. So that way nothing can get tangled up, all the fins are going to stay intact, so there's going to be no tears in the fins. So I think I'm going to do that, but unfortunately I cannot film it and do it at the same time, so I have to show you the fish when he's in the tank already. All right, so that actually worked really well. So I'm going to start doing that from now on as well. And yeah, here he is. Looks very healthy, and good timing that the lights are, dimming because it's nighttime. So I will show you a lot more footage, obviously tomorrow, but I'm going to continue with the next fish. And the next fish is this one right here. So as you can see, I purchased another majestic angelfish, and this is also an example of a really healthy, strong, big fish. And this one is actually the most expensive fish now from my recent purchases. He cost me $350. But again, the other one that was tiny and sick, he was $120. So I'm gladly spending, almost 3 times the price. But then I have a really healthy specimen. So yeah, he's still not the most expensive fish that I have. That would be the Viper Moray, because he was around $600 some. And the Tessellata and the giant Moray were both $300. But if I had to put a price on the giant Moray, he would probably be, I don't know how much he would be, because those only live in public aquaria or in nature. So, and the Tessellata here, yeah, he would fetch a good price as well, but obviously I'm not selling any of them. But yeah, I'm going to put in the majestic angel next, and then see how he likes it in the new tank. Okay, next up is this fish here, and this is a regular Nassau tang. So this is not the blonde Nassau tang, just a regular one. And this one I may be able to just put in the tank like this. And here we go. So since I already have 2 blonde Nassau tangs, and this one replacing the one that died, I thought, I don't need 3 blonde Nassau tangs. It's nice to have one that's just a regular tang. And they're also a lot cheaper. This one was $80, whereas the blonde Nassau tang was $120. But then again, it was a sick fish, and this one looks very healthy. So I hope he will do better. All right, and now we are coming to some very exciting fish, in my opinion. So these are some huge Heniocus butterfly fish. I mean, look at the size. Wow. So these are extremely big, fully grown. So if you compare that to The ones that I have right now, obviously those are a lot smaller. But I was told, you know, the size difference is not going to be a problem when it comes to bullying because I have so many hiding spaces in my tank. And they are a schooling fish, so hopefully they will, you know, school all together. But we will see. So I have 2 of them. Each of them was $250, so very pricey. The small ones were $65, and 2 of them I got for $50. But you know, that was from the store that had these sick fish, and one of them died. So the other ones are all doing fine. So yeah, I can't wait to put these in. I'm going to do that now. All right, so it's been about 2 weeks since I've introduced all these new fish into the tank. And the reason why I had to wait about 2 weeks is because I had an algae bloom in this aquarium, which is expected given, you know, the high bioload that was suddenly introduced into this aquarium. But yeah, let me just go around the fish. So these big heniocus, obviously, they look amazing. And there have been no aggressions between these 2 big ones and the smaller ones. So that is really good. That was one thing I was concerned about. The flamingi tang, which is this fish right here, he is doing very well. And everyone else is doing pretty well too. So there has been a little bit of aggression between the monofish actually and some of the new arrivals. So the monofish are surprisingly territorial. And they have been, you know, bothering the queen angel every once in a while. Not too drastic. And the flamingi tang was being bullied in the beginning. But other than that, you know, obviously there's some nipping between the angelfish sometimes. This emperor angel, which is my very first one, he has been surprisingly, you know, friendly, given that he's the first angel in his tank, and then suddenly all these new fish came in. So the French angel, actually no, the black angel, I'm not sure where he is right now, but he is the one that has been nipping on these banners of these banner fish. And this one here, for example, is missing the upper part of its banner. And fortunately, these banners consist of only, like, you know, skin, so it's not a flesh wound, so I don't expect there to be an infection. But it's just something to keep in mind, you know, if you want to keep these with monofish, sometimes, or actually as some angelfish, there could be some fin nipping involved. But this is not a big problem. What I do is I feed a lot of algae, nori sheets that I put on these clips, and that is something that keeps them busy and gives them something else to nip on. So I've noticed that if I provide this frequently to the fish, then there's no, you know, the fin nipping has reduced drastically, and it's pretty much non-existent. Down here you see a lot of empty shells, and that is because I started feeding some mussels and clams. So when I bought these fish, I was, you know, worried that they would be picky eaters. So the store gave me some clams on the half shell, but they're like $10 for, you know, 7 or 8 ounces. So that's pretty expensive. So I never buy my food really at a pet store other than the dry food. So the fresh food, you know, the Moray eel food, all that is being bought at grocery stores because otherwise it would just cost a fortune. And these clams are a lot cheaper, I think $6 for a pound. So that's good, and they've been loving it, especially the big heniocus. They've been a little bit difficult to feed. You know, they accept the algae, but they don't accept mice or shrimp, bloodworms or brine shrimp. They just only eat the algae or these clams or mussels so far. So hopefully they will, you know, slowly they will accept some other food. Back here you see the annularis angel, and he looks very similar to this one, which is the Koran angel. So there has been a little bit of aggression between these two, simply because they look so similar. But this is kind of normal with these angelfish. Like this emperor angel, he looked just like those when he was their size. So when they're young like that, they all kind of look similar, and then as they grow older, they change colors drastically, and there's actually less aggression. The lemon peel angel is doing very well. So even though this is one of the smaller angels, there's been no aggression towards him. And the bicolor angel that I have in here, he's hiding right now. he's also one of the smaller ones, but no problems whatsoever with him. The the Asphuro angel looks very similar to the bicolor angel. And for some reason, this Asphuro angel was so expensive, $250, which is crazy. I only bought it because I was told, it's a really rare fish, so I thought, why not? I guess it's a collector's item. But no, the majestic angel here, he is the most expensive fish from the ones that I bought. As I showed you in our acclimation, so he was $350. But I guess you only live once, so who cares? And yeah, other than that, these big Hiniokos obviously are the showstoppers. So when I'm back here, they're so large that they make this 1,000-gallon aquarium look like a 100-gallon aquarium. So I almost thought in the beginning that they're too large. And I may have to eventually remove some of the rock work, the ones from the top, just create some additional swimming space, like this rock up there and here. But we'll see. I will do that once the angelfish become larger, because a lot of them will grow to a foot and larger. Basically all of them except the lemon peeler and the bicolor angel, they will all grow to a foot or larger. This is the bicolor right there. So yeah, eventually swimming space may become a little bit scarce, even in this aquarium. So we'll have to remove some of the rocks probably, which I will lose then. I will then lose some of the biological filtration, but may be able to do something with the sump, add a little bit more in there to counter that. And the Moray eels, so they had a difficult time to adjust to these new additions, and that is because the monofish rarely ever go inside the rock work. They are almost always swimming in the open space. So the rock work, that was basically reserved for the Moray eels, and there was no fish down there at any time. But these angelfish, they all like to go in and out the rocks. So the Moray eels, they had to adjust themselves to having other fish in their territory. And fortunately, these eels have been hand-fed their whole life. And the way I feed them is I soak all of their food in garlic. So they are trained to accept only food that smells like garlic, and therefore I haven't lost a single fish ever. So this is a good tip maybe for you if you're worried about Moray eels eating your tankmates. Before you get any tankmates, make sure your eel is trained to only accept food from you and only accept food that has a certain scent. And garlic is really good because it's also a protective against parasites. And yeah. So other than that, I have no more update. All I can say is now this is now looking like a real reef with the new coloration. Can't wait for this Flamingi tank to become even larger. He will be the largest fish with 2 feet, besides the Morays. But this is going to take a long time, hopefully. And the algae has been growing, obviously, because this tank is still, establishing itself. But the angelfish in the tanks, they're all algae eaters, and the butterfly fish, you can see, the Hiniokos, they're all, grazing on the rocks. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. So this is pretty much it for this video. So from now on, I guess it's all just gonna be waiting, see if there are any problems, fish getting larger. So one downside of this is obviously I like to go to the fish store every now and then and look for something new to add. But because of the angelfish being so aggressive to one another and the tanks being aggressive to one another, you do need to add them all at once so that they grow up together. Otherwise you have fish in here that are established and then new additions get bullied like crazy. So that was the downside kind of. So I have everything, all the fish I wanted are now in here. I had to buy them all at once instead of buying them one by one and let the filter adjust to the new bioload gradually. So yeah, but I mean, I may find something else here and there, some invertebrates or, some really rare fish, I'm not sure. Or if one of them dies, unfortunately, then I will replace them. And it shouldn't be too big of a problem since they have a lot of space in here. But other than that, there's going to be no more fish purchases, at least planned purchases. I'm maybe looking for a flame angel, which is the only one that I'm wasn't able to get because he also has a nice bright red coloration, so I'm missing kind of a red fish in here. And other than that, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this aquarium is looking even more appealing now with the new design, the new fish, and the eels are, you know, happy as well, and no aggression towards anyone. Viper Moray is doing fine as well, even though he's still hiding a lot. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for what else I should put into this tank. And if not, wish you a good day and hope to see you in the next video.